Yeah. Never mind. No, let me just try.
The executive committee of the SFRPC is called to order. We have only 2 orders of business today. First, let's do the pledge. Mayor Ross, you must be used to doing pledges. Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. The yellow agenda is in front of you, Commissioner Furr, how are you? So you have missed only the pledge. Will you please call the roll?
I've got you.
Got a little dog.
Yeah, you're down.
Well, he's an attack. You may look good, yeah, he may look nice and fluffy, but.
It's not like 3 dogs.
Please call the roll.
Okay, Bailey? Full Here. Burr?
Here.
Garcia? Hoffman?
Here.
Geller?
Here.
And
Announce the presence of a quorum.
Mhm.
Quorum is present. We have only 2 items on the agenda today. One is the general counsel annual review and the other is the executive director annual review. Let me ask first, I've just been handed a document, which is the executive director annual performance review. I don't believe I have filled this out. Do we have copies of this?
Yes, we can give you copies and.
It's in the package? Okay,
That's one of the virtual participants.
Aha. Okay, do we have one of these for the attorney as well, or just for the executive director?
Just the executive director, Mr. Chair.
All right, I will ask everybody to very quickly go through. I think this shouldn't take a long time, but please go through and fill out on everything for the executive director.
The record, Mr. Chair and council members, the contract with Isabel requires an annual review and requires there be some evaluation prepared. That's why you're doing this.
Okey dokey. Do we have the same requirement with you, or are you on a continuing contract?
I'm on a contract which expires on an annual basis, but I work at your will and pleasure. So
Yes, okay.
that's the bar rules that suggest that. I can tell you to have a lawyer you don't want to have.
Nowhere. I had that issue with another lawyer. I'll tell you about it all.
Little dog. Cute.
Okay. Can I ask a staff member to, it's a one-page form to come and collect them? Forms. Don't forget to sign.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir. Mr. Kaufman.
should I fax or email mine?
Yes, please.
Yes, would you, which is easier for you?
Email.
Yeah, that's much easier for us, because I don't know if they have fax.
I did send an email.
Okay, she has sent you the email.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay,
Perfect.
just respond and
Thank you.
thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Romero.
Commissioner.
Commissioner, thank you, Commissioner. For those of us that, unlike Mayor Ross, have rotating terms, it gets more confusing. Let's see, is he Commissioner today or is he Mayor?
Thank you.
And while we're waiting, Lauren, is this form for you the same form that we had from last year?
It is, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
No
If there
change in
were
the
any-
hourly rates and no change in the substance.
Okay, if there were any changes, I would ask you to call them to my attention.
Yes.
But since there are none, that'll make that very quick.
There a form for Sam as well?
There is none.
Okay,
There is none.
I will quit looking for it.
Okay.
I'm the form.
You are it.
Yeah.
Even writing an essay.
Sorry. You know, this is what they fired before school board. The same kind of thing, because they weren't overwhelmingly positive about superintendent.
No, you
That's part of
have that backwards. They fired them because they didn't want to fire the superintendent.
Because they weren't overwhelmingly positive about it. They didn't give overwhelmingly positive marks on the evaluation.
I think that's backwards. The reason that they were fired is because they should, according to the governor and the,
We're
Yeah.
saying the same thing.
yeah, they were fired. They should have said that the superintendent should have been fired. Okay. I will try and avoid expressing my deep disgust at the actions.
Yeah.
Oops,
Sorry.
Knock out. Had to go there.
I know. But now the one I'm thinking, it's
Good.
amazing that this is one of those things that.
Trigger it.
It's not supposed to be,
No, it's not supposed to be.
right?
It's really-
It's abnormal.
So I'm calling attention to it because most people don't know why, what to use as a basis. Sorry.
All right. Don't get my blood pressure going.
I know, mine did.
You may have to transfer the dog to him, so he can just pet therapy.
Pass the fuzzy thing over.
Sam Kaufman, how did the garbage cleanup go yesterday morning?
A little rainy,
Yes,
a little bit
Yes.
rain.
I heard you all were there though anyway.
Yeah, there was a lot of people. It was nice. Very
Good.
good.
He said, any day in the Keys is better than anywhere else.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So,
Yeah, yeah. Our trees and plants can use it, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful for the rain.
We'll take the rain over a tropical event. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, by the way, I have a question. The phrase, it's a dog life. It's a dog, so it's supposed to be very unhappy experience. Where did that come from? They're all pampered. Look how unhappy that dog looks
I
right now.
How old is she?
She's actually 7 years old.
Very well behaved.
Yeah, she's
Middle age.
middle age. 7.
Okay, Commissioner, I think we should have all of these forms now. So, and I asked you to bring them to me.
Lisa, I have it. Oh, he sent it directly to you.
Eric Coffins was just brought to me, and what happened to one I had earlier?
Yeah, Renee
Yep.
earlier.
Okay,
Chair.
Yes.
Chair Geller. Councilmember Bailey is on right now. Should we inquire if he filled out the form?
yes. Mayor Bailey, Councilmember Bailey, are you on?
I am.
Congratulations on your new position.
Thank you. Mr.
And
Chair.
have you filled out a evaluation for Isabel?
I did not.
Would you like to? We're about to vote right now.
I wouldn't want to prolong it, so I will allow it, you guys to move forward.
Okay, we have 6 forms, one from Commissioner Kaufman, one from Commissioner Furr, one from Commissioner Coldiron, one that's GR, or I don't know, that would be one me, and who is this one?
Renee.
Senator Garcia. There are 10 categories. So the most that you can receive on a scale of 1 to 5 is 50 points. 5 of the forms have her 50 out of 50 and one has her 49 out of 50. So I think that reflects quite highly. I will read the comments. Isabel is an outstanding leader and the glue that keeps the SFRPC together. I could not give higher ratings, but would if I could. Isabel continues to represent the SFRPC in a very positive manner. She's well respected throughout the region, has brought innovations to our council as well as others. Ms. Cosio Carballo is extremely professional and knowledgeable about the regional issues facing our communities. She is a pleasurable, energetic, talented director. Keep up the good work. Senator Garcia had no comment and mine was simply, don't go.
Oh,
Um,
well, if you change the
There you can keep
legislation,
that.
it would make me lose my pension next year if I came back to work.
Right.
But we still have to.
So
Do it now?
is there any additional discussion? I thought you might want to keep those as keepsakes.
Thank you. Yeah, Frank,
Copies, right, you'll need to, you don't steal government records. You'll get into trouble when you do that. Home with you.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion about the executive director? If not, is there a motion? And the motion, Attorney Goring?
Chair, Senator Chair would be the following. The executive committee, as you know, serves in the capacity of the full council. as to the day-to-day operational affairs, and contractually in Isabel's contract as a requirement, the executive committee evaluate and make a recommendation to the full board. So that is your duty to
And
do,
what recommendation is it that we would make
based
to
upon the
to
evaluation.
retain, assuming we like her? What recommendation would it be to continue her employment
Yes.
until her,
She has a contract in place that
Right.
expires in October of 2023.
okay?
To that extent, the annual evaluation does provide for options. And if you will, the options are potential increases or modifications in salary, if you will,
Good.
which was referred to in the backup, which includes the following items. And Isabel added them. There's three. The merit increase option is provided for in section 1.9.1, which is optional recommendation that the executive committee can recommend and then the full board can embrace. Section 1.9.2 is a COLA, or better known as a cost of living increase. There's no specific provision for a percentage in the document. However, there is a reference to both. And there is a burden and obligation and responsibility on the executive committee to review and the governing body to make a decision. Those are not required items, but depending upon the nature of the evaluation process, which you've just now gone through in an abbreviated but meaningful fashion, you have the option and perhaps the discretion to make some decisions that relate to financial aspects of her employment with your organization.
I understand. Before we do that, can you give us an update, Ms. Cosio-Caballo, about, if you can, your succession plans, how they're going, if there's anybody? My understanding is that upon your contract expires in October of 2023, and thereafter you'll be leaving us. Is that correct?
Actually, my contract expires September 30th, but I
Okay.
can stay till October 31st, 2023. Unless there's a legislative change in the legislature that would keep me from losing my pension if I were even to volunteer for the
I
council.
understand.
Chair President.
So
Okay,
my intention is, I had found somebody that I thought would be a good candidate due to their experience in planning and with Remy and all the different things that we do, but that did not pan out. So my intent is to work with you, Chair, and the executive committee to advertise more broadly for a deputy director that can assist me, but also take the reins while you all decide what you want to do. And there is provision in the budget for some money for that position for this year. So we have 13 months to find someone. I would hope to bring someone on in 4 months at the latest. I know that the gentleman contacted me who does a professional search. That's one option we can look at. So I'm updating the job description, and I'd like to share it with y'all and
I
then
was
move
going
forward.
to ask you to update the job description and share it with us all, but you're not beating me to it.
But that's the mind melt.
Because, we all know people in government based on our long experience. And
Yes.
so if we get that, I guess we will all start searching our brains and
Right.
data banks and see if there's
And
anybody.
I
that
would
we
like,
think
if
should
y'all
be
can
interviewed.
think, I think one of the key, things that I would be looking for outside of, professional expertise and such is the ability to work throughout the region so that every county thinks of the executive director as their own. In other words, they need to not be seen as a Broward person or a Miami person or a Monroe person. They need to, it's hard to express it, but it's just they need to be able to move throughout the region where everybody feels like they're vested in this, personal council.
Okay,
So if you know someone like that.
thank you. What is the anticipated salary of both the deputy and once they become director?
Well, I'm not sure that I'm gonna be able to get a deputy at the salaries out, but I'll have to work with you guys and ladies to sort the budget out as needed. I think Leo, I don't see Leo.
He's on the call.
Oh, he's on the call. I think we put, I want to say 125 or 100.
Good morning.
Yes,
Good morning.
Yes,
How
it's 125. What we.
For the deputy?
yeah, just.
Okay.
To start there.
And what do you anticipate the salary being of the executive director?
I think that we should do a comparison. The salary that I have, obviously it's gone up a little bit, cost of living and things like that. But the base salary of 160 was the same salary Carolyn Deacle made when she was executive director, you know, back 9 years ago.
Can I ask you to do a survey?
Yeah, I will.
I knew to ask, but she just
I-
started saying it. Both the average, both the salaries of the other SFRPC
I
directors
have that.
and what you think would be other comparable positions, if there are any.
Yes, I have this. Actually, there is a survey that we update every year on salary and benefits of the executive directors. It's private, but you know, I can remove information. The challenge is that you can take those salaries, but when you put them in South Florida, there's a lot of competition, right? And a lot of higher salaries,
More cost of living here too.
more cost of living and also higher salaries. I mean, not to mention names, but I know one director of a regional organization that's making close to 240, 250. And I imagine there's more, so. But yes, absolutely, we've already started that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right, additional question, is there a COLA for the general staff in the budget?
Yes, Leah, what is the COLA that we have in the budget for staff?
It is included. The COLA would be somewhere around 3%.
That's all?
That's all that we've calculated for the New Year's budget. But then we have the salary incentives.
Right, there's some raises.
What are okay, those are just salary increases? When you say incentives, what do you mean?
Well, yeah, that's the increases depending on their annual evaluation.
So like a
Okay.
merit
Yeah,
increase?
merit
Merit
increase.
increases.
Like what percentage will you let that go up to?
Well, it depends on each position and yeah, that has been dealt with in different meetings with the executive director and our consultant.
Okay, what is the range?
I think it's up to 10%.
Let me see, I'm opening it. I'm sorry.
And this is not based on changing positions, but based on merit increases is what I think we're looking for, correct, Commissioner Goldeiern?
Yes, yes.
And is that up to the subjectiveness of the executive director?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
But obviously, I would suggest, and again, assuming we'll have to hear if budget supports this, but I would obviously, if we're giving a 3% COLA to our other employees, the same COLA percentage, ignoring merit for the moment, should be given to our executive director.
I would agree.
Chair, if I can quickly,
Yeah,
offer in Isabel's contract, which is binding, of course, on both parties, there is reference and confirmation as it was revised, as you probably know, in September of 2021, which was just amended. And you all recognized publicly the COLA increase and the merit increase. The merit increase in 2021, a year ago to this month, was 2% at that time. The cost of living was 3% at that time. So the answer is that the contract reflects it, but the contract also requires you to consider it for this year.
Right, okay. Well, would there be a motion to first, this first part only, to award the executive director the same COLA percentage that the other average of the other employees?
So second,
Moved by Commissioner Burr, seconded by Commissioner Goldeiern. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion,
Point
yeah.
of information, I'm not on the executive board, therefore I can't vote. Am I correct?
With the approval of the chair, that is correct. You
Okay.
no longer serve in that capacity, but you can also have your vote be heard in the context of that issue. Remember, and the rich history we have here is that when members do attend the executive committee, they have in fact participated.
So did you have a comment on that?
No.
Okay, all right. So seeing, by the way, Senator Garcia, good to see you.
Hey, good guys, how are you?
Okay. Is there, we've offered debate. There is no debate. Therefore, all those in favor of first, I guess, motion be to continue. Do we need to vote to continue her for another year?
It's already
Pursuant to the
provided for.
contract, right? So we have already done the review. The first thing would be a COLA that's been moved and seconded, debated. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that approved. And Leo, did you find the range on the merit increases?
Yes, sir, I'm here. And well, again, depending on the different negotiations, the range went from 3.09 to a 13%. And that is due to different negotiations with the executive director to for staff retention.
Okay. I'm assuming that we don't need to give a merit raise to keep her retained in her last year. But I also think it appropriate based on the 59 out of 60 to do a merit increase. Again, one of the, I'm presuming, although I don't know this, that the budget will bear that. I was going to ask for a motion, Commissioner first. Okay, is there any additional discussion? Any additional discussion? Well, first, is there a second?
I'm the second for conversation. Why did you pick that percentage?
Because they look at an overall percentage. I usually don't like on a yearly basis, it's just of going more than 5 or 6% as a total when you include COLA. Only just, that's just, I look at budgets as a long-term thing.
And I asked the question because I'm looking at what our county is giving for raises, merit raises, COLAs this year, and the cost of living that is significantly gone up, especially in South Florida. And I would have made that number a little higher. More like a 5% is what I was thinking. If the range right now is 3.09 to 13%.
Chair Geller, if I
Yes.
may,
Yes.
we have to
Leo.
remember also that there have been changes in positions, and that's why the range got wider, because it's like a 2-in-1. It's not only the increase, but also the change in position that merits an increase in the salary too.
Well, Leo, I had tried to be specific in saying not changes in positions, only changes in salary. I would, yeah, go ahead.
No, I understand, but everything will happen and be contemplated in the new budget, including the changes in positions. That's
I
why.
understand. Okay, I would, yes,
Before you make a suggestion, can I just find out informationally what we did last year? What the merit increase was last year?
If you will, I have a contract which
2% last year.
is 2%. The
So we're
contract-
increasing by 50% based on what Commissioner Furr is indicating.
Oh, I meant,
I
Mr.
love
Chair,
numbers.
to the mayor.
yes,
As you may remember, you assisted with the contract
Yes.
last year, and this contract actually, at your suggestion, confirmed those items, and then going forward was an open issue. But as to the issue of Commissioner Colmeyer, it was 2% merit and it was 3% COLA in the document.
okay, that was last year. I would certainly think it should not be any lower than the lowest, which was a little high, 3 point something. I was also going to suggest a 5%, because that sounded like an appropriate number, but Commissioner Kaufman and Senator Garcia, Commissioner Furr has suggested a 3% merit. We've already adopted a 3% COLA, which is the same, or whatever the same COLA that the general employees received, which is approximately 3%. Senator Garcia, Commissioner Kaufman, either of you have any comment?
Yeah, I just, if I may,
You're recognized, Senator.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm okay with the 3%. I just want to keep us, I mean, I know the cost of living has gone up, And with the 5%, I want us to be mindful that a lot of our residents, a lot of our constituents are not seeing a 5% increase in their salary. That's why I feel more comfortable with keeping it at 3% and making sure that's reflective of the actual, the COLA that happens. That a lot of our, even though a lot of our residents, constituents don't see a 3% increase in their salaries. So I can vote for the 3%, but I just don't think I can go up to that 5%.
Okay, and I'll ask Commissioner Calvin, but first I've heard 2 3% and 2 5%, so I'm kind of inclined to go to, what do you think?
4%.
4%.
Right. The mediator's hat came on.
Yeah, it's just, I always try and look for consensus. Commissioner Calvin, any comments?
4% sounds good to me, unless Isabel has some other recommendation.
I think Isabel was being quite quiet this morning.
I serve at the pleasure of the board.
How about 4% then? I think 4% makes a lot of sense then.
4? You want to amend your motion?
Okay,
I'll amend my motion.
I'll second the amended motion for 4%.
okay, Commissioner Furr amends his motion to 4%, seconded by Commissioner Coldiron. Is there any additional discussion or debate? Seeing no additional discussion or debate, all those in favor of the motion to recommend a 4% merit increase, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, show that 4 yes, 1 no with Senator Garcia. I'm sorry.
He's put a thumbs down.
Right, what's the no? I believe, was there any other, okay, I'm sorry, show that with 1, 2, 3, how many voting members are there, 5? Show that 4% with Commissioner Furr, Coldiron, Geller, yes, and Senator Garcia and Mr. Bailey, no.
And Kaufman?
Kaufman,
Yes, I was a yes.
yes, so I'm sorry, so that's 6, not 5.
There's 6 voting.
Okay,
members.
so show that adopted by a vote of 4 to 2. Isabel, obviously, even those that couldn't vote for the 4% have a very high opinion, but they're just trying to be fiscally
I
responsible.
respect that very much.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now,
Chairman, if I may, I thank you for saying that. Isabel knows that I have a great
Yes.
deal of respect for her and her work.
Absolutely.
It's not about her or her caliber of work. It's just about what's happening in our community right now. That's it.
Senator,
Thank you.
thank you. I completely understand.
And Senator Garcia, I knew that because, I just know you.
Thank you.
All right,
Mr.
in
Chairman,
reference to, yes,
just for the record, having reviewed the executive director under the 2 components that you voted on, those are the requirements of the contract.
Yes.
If you will fulfill those, that would be a recommendation. These 2 adopted motions will be sent to the full board for their ratification. Shortly, you'll ratify or recommend theoretically ratification of my contract also.
I was just taking that up. You see, that's, I've got that. Okay. We have not done a review of Mr. Gorin or his firm, but I've been practicing law not as long as he has, but November 3rd will be 40 years, and I find his legal work exemplary, and I believe that is known in the community. His reputation in the community among lawyers is outstanding. The recommendation is to renew at the same terms and conditions. I would hope that somebody might file a motion to amend that. My hourly rate is $750 an hour. His is $250, which I find shocking, but what I would suggest or ask for a motion is because we don't have a lot of money, is to change only the partner rate, which is currently $250 an hour, with a token increase of $10 an hour to $260 an hour, which is not really an increase, but it's at least shows,
Appreciation.
and
Which
appreciation.
I sincerely appreciate from my law partners and myself. Thank you. Thank you all.
Is there? Yes.
Point
Mr.
of
Bailey,
clarification.
former Chair
I
Bailey, you're recognized, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. I have a question. I remember a while ago when we were having a budget shortfall, Mr. Gorin, he recommended and he reduced his fees. And we said at some point we would go once we get our budget right and we would increase his fees back to the proper rate. I know over the past, I want to say couple of years, we've had staff salary increases, but I don't think that we got Mr. Gorin back to which we said a while ago. I don't think, but I could be incorrect. If Isabel can just provide an update as have you received any increases since that time?
I'm pretty sure I put a prior increase in from 225 to
Okay.
250, I think.
That is
But
correct.
Okay.
Okay, but
And I'll go ahead and move it, and I will move your motion, Mr. Chair, to increase it.
okay, there is a motion. Is there a second? I will, can't second.
I'll second.
Like, I will. For discussion purposes, when did you reduce your hourly, or as I recall, you went from,
The legal review committee, which you were the chair of, if
Right.
you remember, and I believe Mayor Ross was as well. I forget who else.
went from, I think, lump sum.
Well, what we,
to-
what we did was we terminated the existing contract we
Right.
had, which was a retainer contract with hourly billed matters for those things which are hourly billed.
Right,
We early terminated that contract because the fact that the budget was at risk
right,
and was more important to have a regulated amount of time allocated to the work being performed.
right.
And at that time, we set an hourly rate that was mutually agreeable, given the nature of the client relationship, obviously, and,
Right.
and the financial challenges at the time. So we are now working on an annual contract that's based on an hourly rate, which I think is fair to both parties in the context and equitable in the context of the rates that you propose. And to the extent that we righted the ship at the time it needed to be righted before it hit it toward the rocks. I think the end result was that I love the relationship I have, and it means a lot to me to be here as well. I don't want to overbear on the subject, but it's the 40th year of my contractual relationship with the organization. I was about 11 when I started here.
Yeah. So there moved, seconded, and that's an acceptable rate to you?
Yes, sir.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion. All those in favor of the recommendation to renew the contract on the exact same terms as it is now, with the exception of the salary for partners, which would go to 250, from 250 to 260. Please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that adopted unanimously.
Thank you all very much. It's a
Thank you
privilege
so
and honor
much.
to be here.
And is there any public comment before we adjourn the meeting? Is there any public comment? Do you have any public comment on the line?
None.
If not, the meeting, the business of the executive committee having been completed, is there a motion to adjourn?
Can I make that one?
Yeah. Moved by Mayor Ross, seconded by Commissioner Godire, show us adjourned. At this point in time, I would like to call the meeting of the,
Can we start early?
You really,
I thought it was 10.
10:30.
Oh, 10:30.
and it is a time certain.
Oh,
Well, I think we have a.
I would like to uncall us.
It would have been nice.
Yes,
think we could be out of order now?
yes, we are in disorder. I thought that it was 10, sorry. Okay, I could have told you it wasn't going to take an hour for this, but.
Yeah, I know, unless you. we
Yeah,
can
how many years?
For half an hour.
It's 40 here, but
48 December.
I am actually
2 more years than senator. I was sworn in 82.
I was born in
November of
80.
82. In 80. And
Should I mute us until
Yes.
10:30?
Yes.
Camera too?
we're just chatting.
Yes.
third grade.
The hour of 10:32 having arrived. I normally give us another minute or two, but I think it's probably enough. The meeting of the South Florida meeting of the South Florida Regional Planning Council. I now quote order on Monday, September 19th, 2022. I would like to ask Commissioner Codiron to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you.
It does, that rule that comes out, even when Florida State University. meets
Flynn.
Louisville.
Did you go to FSU also?
No.
Just Louisville, okay. All right, well. Go north. Okay, I would like to begin this meeting by welcoming back to the SFRPC, one of our longtime members, and Kaplan. Frank. Now, Frank, if I recall, you were chair of the SFRPC, what year?
That was what year? That was 20,
Oh, that's right, when we were doing the leases,
I think somewhere in that 2015 for the numbers, 2016.
2017, I think it's when we were doing the leases.
Okay,
It was a great tenure for me and I thank you very much.
Well,
Gracious.
welcome back, sir. Thank you.
How do you do and how do you do? We'll know each other. Johnny Unitas is a little,
Yes, he is.
Yes, I knew that.
Naming
Very
the football field after him.
yes, very important.
Yes.
If I could ask staff to call the roll.
Bailey? Bailey?
Yes, present.
Thank you. Kaplan?
Here.
Kate's?
Here.
Coldiron? Here. Cardino? Burr?
Here.
Garcia? Gilbert? Goldberg?
Here.
Kaufman?
Here.
McGee?
Saw him earlier.
Ross?
Here.
Udine?
Here.
Ziotti? Here. Andriotta?
Here.
That, Win, sorry,
He may be coming.
Mayors?
Well, there's.
Here.
Okay.
Here. Thank you. Keller?
Here. Is there a quorum?
Mr. Chair, for the record, under section 120.525 subsection 4, better known also as Senate Bill 398, that was passed several years ago, you have a quorum in accordance with the statute. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Gori. At this point in time, I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda. So moved.
Second.
Moved by, we just did. Okay, Commissioner Codiron, in her Kentucky voice. And moved by Commissioner Ross, seconded by Mayor Ziotti, a pair of mayors. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, show the agenda adopted unanimously. I have no idea what board conversation.
It was just a placekeeper in there if you wanted to discuss anything, come back to it after we do the action items and things.
Okey dokey. Give me one brief thing.
We're going to do that. In October,
Okay, gotcha.
we're gonna add an October meeting. This one here, Richard.
Okey dokey. Okay, at this point, and does anybody want to converse? All right, we're done with Roman numeral 3. Action items, is there a motion to approve? You've been passed out a copy of the minutes of the prior meeting, July 18th. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mayor Ziotti, seconded by Mayor Ross. Is there any discussion? Is there any debate? Are there any corrections? Is there any correction?
I went to order that and that offer is over with, so.
I'm sorry.
I believe he was probably speaking to someone else and forgot to mute himself, and now he's muted.
That was.
Okay. Gotcha.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I apologize.
No problem. So were there any corrections? Seeing no corrections, All those in favor of approving minutes, please signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, show that done unanimously. Financial report, Leo.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. So
Senator
if we
Garcia,
go-
welcome back. Okay,
if we go to the financials on page 1, we will see that the comparative balance sheet, the general fund went down by $124,813 for the assets as well as liabilities and fund balance. The federal, state, and local funds increased by $130,261 as well as liabilities and fund balance. The revolving loan funds decreased in $2,416 in the assets as well as liabilities and fund balance. And the Prosperity Institute remains with no action for the month of August. If we go to the second page, we reporting for the month of August again, it's 91.67% of the fiscal year lapsed. We will see that our revenues are at 84%. And our expenses are at 77% of the budget for the fiscal year.
okay. Are there any questions? Let me ask my resident financial expert, Mayor Udine. Did you have any questions or comments on the balance sheet or the financial report?
No, sir, looks good for me, and I will move the financial reports.
Second, moved by Mayor Udine, seconded by Mayor Ross. Is there any discussion?
Need to roll also, Mr. Chair.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? If not, it's now in order to vote. Please call the roll.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Cold Iron,
yes. Burr,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Ross,
Made on
Yes.
September
Udi?
16th,
Yes.
and it was
Biati, yes.
Somebody needs to mute themselves. She did it.
And Geller.
Yes, by your vote, show the financial reports adopted unanimously. We are now on the consent agenda for the comp plan amendment reviews. I will ask Attorney Gorin to read the proposed consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair, Senator Chair Geller and others. This is item number 4C. Into the record, these are the proposed amendments as follows for the record, all of which contain the objective of a public hearing for those who either came today to speak in favor or against each one. Miami-Dade County 22-01 ER, Monroe County 22-05 ACSC, City of Fort Lauderdale 22-01 ESR, City of Homestead 22-01 ESR, Village of Islands, Isla Mirada 22-01 ACFC, the City Lighthouse Point 22-01 ESR, City of Marathon 22-08 ACSC, City of Miami Beach 22-04 ESR, the City of Miami Beach number 22-05 ESR, City of Miami Springs number 22-01 ER, the Village of Miami Shores 22-01 ER, Town of Pembroke Park 22-02 ESR, and last but not least on the proposed would be the City of Wilton Manors 22-01 ESR, all of which are proposed and on the record for public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Move to approve. Thank you. Let me first open the public hearing on this. The public hearing on the proposed items is now open. Do we have anyone on the screen wishing to speak? Are there any speakers? Or any present? If not, show the public hearing closed. Mayor Ross has moved approval of the proposed comp plan amendment reviews, seconded by Commissioner Furr. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Show it adopted unanimously.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I think that you need a roll call for this one.
On comp plans you do.
Comp plan, yes. Thank you, former Chair Bailey. Please call the roll on the proposed comp plan amendments.
Bailey,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Cold Iron, yes. Burr,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Udine,
Yes.
Ciotti. Yes. And Geller.
Yes, by your vote, show the proposed comp plan amendments adopted unanimously. Sam, please read the adopted comp plan amendments.
Thank you, Senator Chair Geller. Proposed and now to be adopted is under 4C as well. The adopteds are City of Ventura 22-01 ER, the City of Marathon 22-04 ACSC, the City of Marathon 22-05 ACSC, City of Marathon 22-06 ACSC, the City of Miami Beach number 22-01 ESR, and last but not least, the City of Miami Beach 22-02 ESR, all of which are for public hearing, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. The public hearing on the adopted comp plan amendments is now open. Are there any speakers? Are there any speakers? Seeing no speakers, the public hearing is now closed. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Seeing no debate, please call the roll on the adopted comp plan amendments.
Bailey,
Yeah.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Was there a motion?
Is there a motion? Sorry,
sorry.
stop. Commissioner Coldier moves, seconded by Mayor Ziotti while drinking coffee.
First motion.
Yes,
covered.
okay, this is on the adopted. Please call the roll.
Again, Bailey,
Yes.
Kaplan,
Yes.
Gates,
Yes.
Cold Iron,
Yes.
Fur,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Hoffman,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Udine,
Yes.
Ciotti. Yes. And Geller.
Yes, by your vote, show the adopted comp plan amendments adopted by this group unanimously. We now move into letter D, regional issues, comp plan amendment review, none. E is the legal counsel annual review, and F is the executive director annual review. I will take up both of them at this point in time. Under legal counsel, the executive committee met this morning and unanimously voted to continue the services of the law firm of Gorin, Ezra, Duty, Cheroff, Smith, Jones, and the other guys. Yes, okay. And determine that they have been providing us with exemplary legal services at rates well below market rate. And the motion was, or the recommendation passed out of the executive committee was to continue their services for another year and to, since we couldn't afford to give them the salary increase they deserve, but as a token to indicate our support, to increase partner rates only from $2.50 an hour to $2.60 an hour, which again is a token increase, not even the keeping up with inflation, but it showed that we appreciate them. That is the recommendation of the executive committee. Is there, do I need a motion or can the executive committee move it?
The full board must approve it.
Right, but for the motion,
You already.
Motion to approve
Okay.
the recommendation.
motion to approve is from the executive
That's
committee.
correct. Thank you.
Okay, and therefore, is there any discussion? It's been moved, does it need to be seconded? If it's okay. Second by Mayor Ross, who kept trying to move it. So, yes, discussion.
I just want to state for the record that he is our city attorney as well.
Okay, to the cities as well. Does that require recusal? No, no,
I
okay,
just want to be.
okay.
You are what the law calls free dealers.
Got you. Okay.
Yes.
I have not played poker with Mayor Ross, but I've run into the free dealer. Okay, is there any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion from the executive committee, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Show that adopted.
Thank you all very much.
Congratulations, you are hereby renewed, I hope, because I've already signed the
Yes, thank
document.
you. Legally, free dealers, by the way. Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
In terms of the executive director, there are 6 members of the executive committee present. The maximum points that you could get on the documents, can I have them again, were 10. Ms. Cosio Carballo got 59 out of 60 points. And I believe there's an explanation as to why she only got 9 points on one. I will not read you the scores, but I'll just read you the comments from Commissioner Kaufman. Isabel is an outstanding leader and the glue that holds the SFRPC together. I cannot give higher ratings, but would if I could. From Commissioner Coldiron, Ms. Cosio Carballo is extremely professional and knowledgeable about the regional issues facing our communities. She is a pleasurable, energetic, talented director. Scribble G something. Mayor Ross wrote to keep up the good work. Senator Garcia did not have any comments, but gave her straight fives. I'm missing,
Oh, wait, where's the?
yes, Commissioner Burr. Okay,
Yeah.
Commissioner Burr said Isabel continues to represent the SFRPC in a very positive manner. She's well respected throughout the region and has brought innovations to our council as well as others. Then since he gave her 4 out of 5 instead of 5 out of 5, it kept her from getting 60 in. But he explained his asterisk where he gave her 4 out of 5 is makes clear and concise recommendations to council. His asterisk was, there are times when political astuteness requires this. And my comments were, don't go, exclamation point. The executive committee recommended and hereby moves that Ms. Cosio Carballo get the same COLA as the average of all of the employees. Additionally, the merit increases range from 3.0 something percent to, we believe, 13%. There was basically close to a tie between 3% and 5%. So naturally enough, we recommended 4% as a merit increase. So that is the recommendation and motion of the executive committee. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mayor Ross. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Mr. Chair, point of clarification.
Yes.
This is just a COLA. This is correct?
No, she got a COLA of the 3 point whatever the average that was given to all of the other employees as a COLA.
Correct.
Then in addition to that, there was a merit increase for the other employees ranging from 3.09 to 13%. And so on that, the executive committee, which you're on, voted for a 4% merit raise, which was in addition to the 3% COLA that all employees got. That 4% was towards the bottom of the range of the merit increases. Did that answer your question, former Chair?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Chair, is there a way to break up the COLA from the merit increase since there was a difference of votes with the committee regarding the merit increase?
Yeah, yes, okay, good point, thank you. The vote in favor of the 4% was by a vote of 4-2, with the 2 negative votes being former Chair Bailey and Senator Garcia, both of whom made a point of saying it's not anything about Isabel, but rather just on the budget amount, and which they are appropriately concerned with. So let me first ask for the motion to approve the COLA, which again, we were told it's about 3%, but if Leo knows whether it was exactly 3% or about 3%, but the motion was to give her the same COLA, or if it was not uniform, same average COLA as all of the other employees.
So moved.
Okay, moved, seconded. Is there any debate? Actually, it was moved by the executive committee, seconded by former Chair Bailey. Any debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Show that adopted unanimously. Now, on the second part of the motion, which was a merit increase. And again, this was recommended by the executive committee by a vote of 4-2. And the basis on that was we were told that the merit increases for other employees ranged from 3.09 to 13%. Originally, there was a motion for 3% from Commissioner Furr. Commissioner Coldiron suggested 5%. There were other speakers in favor of both 3 and 5, and I then suggested 4, and which passed by a vote of 4-2. Now, that is now moved by the executive committee. Is there a second? Seconded by Mayor Ziotti. Debate. Commissioner Bailey, did you, or Councilmember Bailey, did you have any comment or?
No, no comment.
Okay, is there any debate? Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor of the 4%, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Former Chair Bailey was a nay. Senator Garcia, were you also a nay like you were previously?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
The record
All right.
reflect the nay vote, Mr. Chair.
The record should reflect everybody was a yay, and there were 2 nays. The 2 nays were Senator Garcia and former Chair Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okey dokey. At this point, we turn to the revised operating budget. Leo?
Well, good morning, everyone, again.
Hey, long time no here.
Long time no here.
Okay.
So we're revising the budget from, let me see, our revenues were budgeted in $3.8 million and we're dropping them to 2.5.
But the reason for that is totally a delay.
The reason for that is a delay in the Department of Defense grant that has been structured to be moved to the new fiscal year.
So is it fair to say that the reason that there is a roughly $1.35 million change, how much of that was from the Department of Defense grant?
That's the main explanation for it. We had budgeted for $700,000 of professional consultants to be hired, and due to delays in the implementation of this grant coming from the federal government, we're moving it to the new fiscal year. Also, we have decreased substantially several different lines of our budget. We controlling the expenses. Also, some positions that were budgeted for this year to be hired were not hired due to how the market is, and they were not needed for the projects that we have currently on hand.
Okay, now this is only the fiscal year 2021-2022 revised budget. I assume there will be very little discussion on this, and the discussion will be at next year's budget. Is there a motion to approve the 2021-2022 revised operating budget for the next 2 weeks, 11 days? Moved by Commissioner Kaplan, seconded by Mayor Ross. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Any debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Sure, that adopted unanimously. Now, into the next year's proposed operating budget, I would also ask you, Leo, as you go through this, to point out one of the substantial expenses should be hiring a deputy director. As I think everybody knows, this Coso Carballo will be leaving in, it's unclear, either September or October.
October 31st.
October 31st, okay. October 31st. And The,
Next year.
right, the game plan,
2023.
the game plan is to try and hire a deputy director with the hopes fairly soon, with the hopes that that deputy director will ultimately move into the executive director role after they have a 8-9 month, apprenticeship, training under Ms. Costa Carballo. So we will have 2 highly paid employees during that period, or I say relatively compared to the rest of the SFRPC,
Right.
not compared to private sector where they would be considered underpaid.
And we're looking, Senator,
Yes,
we're
good.
looking also to get an economic development planner as well as a resiliency coordinator.
Is
Both
it,
of those positions are the 2 positions that we had, then later went to the private sector and to the public sector.
and is it correct,
And those salaries are.
Isabel, that right now we're having to outsource at a higher
Yes.
rate jobs that should normally be done by those?
Well, we haven't started yet, but what we did is we had a request for qualifications and we received, I think about 15 responses. And yes, the consultant rates are higher. So it's good that you get the expertise, but at the same time, it'd be better to develop talent inside. And I'll caveat that.
So that when
with-
we develop the talent inside, that the private sector can hire.
Well,
them
this
as
is,
soon as they
this is my caveat, okay? If somebody wants to come intern, they're welcome to come intern. But it's looking forward, we're really looking to find people that want to come here and stay here. We had, let's just put it that way. So we're not the training ground for your next employee. We really want to find people that are going to stay and be part of the council over the longer term. Yes, you're right.
Right, Leo, if you can run through the budget, please, the proposed budget for next year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we will be moving on the revenue side from $2.5 million to 3.3, and that's including the project that we were talking about from the Department of Defense. We also have to remember that this new fiscal year, all the projects related to CARES Act will not be in our budget as they're not continuing. We are expecting to have total expenditures for the same amount, $3.3 million, meaning that our budget is balanced for the year.
Okay, are there any questions on the budget? Are there any questions on the budget? Are there any questions on the budget? Seeing no questions, is there a motion? Commissioner Kaplan moves the approval of the budget, seconded by Commissioner Furr. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Any debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add, we've
Yeah.
proven for the second year in a row that we are keeping our budget on track thanks to the supervision of the executive director.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Executive Director.
Thank you, Leo.
Okey dokey. At this point in time, we are on letter I, the rule 29J-2 and 29J-3 updates, which are cumbersome, complicated, and difficult to understand. So, person to simplify the complicated, Sam Gorin.
Thank you. At the last meeting or so, I briefed you on the fact that we are required by state law to periodically amend our rules of operation. We only have one rule, 29J. It's been in existence for about 1,000 years. Others were in place in years past, but when the legislature some years ago changed the rule relating to how regional councils perform their businesses, all those rules were abolished and were merged into what's called a statement of organization, which you also are party to and you have revised in the past couple of years, which is your operating plan for the organization, which relates to membership and terms of office and all manner of things that relate to your interrelationships together and the appointment process, which are consistent with the statute governing regional planning councils and the interlocal agreement between the 3 counties. That being said, we have to amend 29J. That rule basically needs to be, it's a housekeeping amendment. The paperwork to implement that is incredibly difficult and tedious. Notification, this is the starting place of that. This is the first review. As a matter of fact, the rulemaking process would begin today. We've already been in contact with the Division of Administrative Hearings in Tallahassee, and the the JAPC, which is the legislature actually.
JAPC, Joint Administrative Procedures Commission.
Right, that which is an outgrowth of the legislature. Be it known that before you, the rule essentially still provides, which is not abolished by the legislature, a mediation opportunity, which this council has implemented in your path, where you are a regional mediator. That is, that if there are regional conflicts between local governments, aside from Chapter 164, which governs individual pre-litigation issues, this agency under state law and under this rule actually has mediation opportunities. That's referred to in 29J, just for reference. It also cleans up the location we moved at the auspices of Commissioner Kaplan, as you may remember, from the location on Hollywood Boulevard, like 30 plus years at this location. There's just some housekeeping changes that are required. The state actually notifies the director, which was done this past year. Sean Swartz, one of our senior associates, and Kathy and myself are working together with their director to get it done. It will take some period of time, but this is the beginning of that journey to get to the end result of which is a final revised amended rule that will be approved by the folks in Tallahassee once it's completed.
Thank you. Is there any action that we need to take right
Yeah, it's a
now?
motion to accept the publication and the actions that taken thus far under state law to implement the changes as required.
So moved.
Okay, I believe I actually heard Commissioner Burr move it, so Mayor Ziotti seconds. Is there any debate? And I cannot believe anybody will even understand it, much less debate it. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Seeing no debate?
29J.
Right, okay. I move that we renumber it to 30J. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Mr. Chair, you'll be, and members of the council,
Right.
you'll be seeing this again as the matter proceeds, but ultimately it'll be an approved rule, which you'll approve after appropriate public hearing and
Okay.
publication. Thank you.
Chair.
Yes.
I just want to recognize Kathy Lurch in particular because she has spent hours
Hours.
working with the state to get everything sorted out. So
Thank you.
I thank her as well.
arcane process.
We tried to, as I make quickly, we tried to avoid the process thinking that it wasn't that critically necessary to be done. And we received correspondence to suggest we have no choice.
Okay. The next item on the agenda, which I'm going to go out of order on, says Executive Director's Report. But before we do that, because it's not on the agenda, want to talk, I'll give a quick chair's report because there's something that I wanted to say. Those of you that have been on this members of the SFRPC for a while have heard me raise some concerns or complaints that we haven't been doing enough. And what I mean by that is originally, when I was dealing with the SFRPC, we had actual power and authority. Then the legislature stripped that power and authority away from us and left us with, in my opinion, little to do except come to meetings because the statute said we have to exist, but we weren't actually, in my opinion, doing enough. And I said that if I'm going to spend my time here, that I wanted to make sure that we were actually accomplishing things. I am very pleased to say that with the guidance of our executive director, we're actually have started doing this, and I look forward to doing this more. I just want to point out to all of the members that Mayor Udine, you're still on, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I may call on you in a moment if you'd like, but only if you'd like. We had a meeting last Friday with the mayors of Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County, although actually it was the vice mayor. Where we spent, I believe it was 2 hours, it seemed like more. 2 hours taking the first step towards a comprehensive regional address of housing issues. We had something scheduled, I'll get to that in a moment, on October 21st. We are having a joint meeting with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council on a solid waste matter, which was discussed that we wanted to actually do something. This meeting is scheduled to last for 6 hours. We did have scheduled a solid waste, excuse me, last mile, first and last mile for mass transit issue. But just based on time, because it seems like the SFRPC has had to carry most of the burden on the solid waste joint meeting. So that one is being postponed till January, but we're still going to be having that. We've been working, this is the SEDS reports, which is still being worked on, the comprehensive economic development strategy for the Southeast Florida region for the U.S. Department of Commerce, Office of Small Business,
As economic.
Department of Economic Development Administration or whatever, but
So many acronyms.
yeah, a big deal. And Isabel, I think it will give an update on the military installation resilience study that the SFRPC has been doing. I don't think anybody can say anymore, and I've been the one pushing the hardest on this, that the SFRPC is not doing things. I think we're actually starting to fulfill our role in our title, which is regional planning. Terry Udine, did you want to give any update? It's strictly optional on the meeting that you attended with the mayor of Miami-Dade and the vice mayor of Broward. There were about 38 people on the line, I believe. Mr. Mayor, you don't have to, but you're invited to.
Sure, just briefly. I mean, we had a robust conversation hearing from different leaders and actually different subject matter experts, which was more important, I think, than the elected officials and whatnot who were there. I think hearing from all the different counties with the different type of programs that they're putting in place, everyone is seeing this same issue, and it's going to be an all hands on deck to try and, you know, see where we come in as government entities and assist in an issue that's becoming one of the most important for all of our residents in South Florida, as the affordability of actually living here. So I think that it went well. I look forward to, I know we were going to have some breakouts with subject matter experts in the future. I look forward to us all putting best practices together. And I concur with what Senator Geller said. It's something really that lends itself to a regional planning council like the SFRPC. So I believe that there are opportunities there. Also with the waste disposal and the waste issues, these are things that affect us on a regional level. And I think that we are the best group to try and, have these broad subject issues discussed. So I'm excited about participating in them. And I thank Senator Geller for pushing this matter forward.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The upshot of, by the way, the housing meeting, we came up with somewhere around 11 or 12 different topics. And we are going to break those down into probably 3 groups of topics. We will then have meetings for a couple hours with subject area experts. Certainly, we will let everyone know, and any SFRP, we can't meet in secret. So any SFRPC member, will certainly let you know, and you're certainly invited to attend those. So I just wanted to brag a little about all the work that, and I think Isabel hates me because I'm making her work night and day now, particularly on the SEDS report. But this is what we've been saying we need to do, actually do things. We're actually accomplishing that now.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
can I ask a question?
yes, who is that?
For the October 21st joint meeting,
Yes,
are cities being encouraged to attend, and is there outreach to cities, and how so?
My understanding, and I'll call upon Isabel in a moment, is that every elected official, every city, well, let me rephrase that, every city commissioner and county commissioner from Monroe County up to Indian River County will receive an invitation and will be invited to attend. We are,
South Florida, I can't speak for Treasure Coast, but
yeah, well, we are sending it to the South Florida. We've asked Treasure Coast to do the same. So we are expecting that we will probably have a couple of hundred people, a couple of hundred elected officials in attendance. Because we're inviting all of the elected officials, plus we're inviting the appropriate staff members.
yeah, the city managers.
Right. City manager, director of waste, et cetera. So if you have not, if your city is not, now, I don't know when, if the invitations have been sent yet or when they will be.
This week.
Okay, so let me turn this over to our executive director, Isabel.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. And thank you, Councilmember Kaufman, for the question. We are going to be sending out an invitation this week. And we will follow up in subsequent weeks. We're still working on the agenda, identifying speakers, and I would like in particular to get some input from Commissioner Furr and Mayor Ross, given your expertise in the area. We have a draft agenda that I'll share with you. It's still very drafty.
Yeah, unfortunately, the SEDS has been an all-consuming item, which has taken up most of Isabel's time.
Having my
over the
child
past
was
couple of
easier. I'll just put it that way. So,
Yeah, and one last thing
Yes.
before we do this, I have not meant when I've been talking about the regional issues on solid waste and first and last mile. We have not, and we've been talking to Dade Brown Palm Beach, we haven't meant to exclude Monroe. Just Monroe's issues are so different, important, but just very different than the commonality between the three large urban counties.
if I may,
Thank
so
you,
solid waste definitely has, Monroe County has been involved from the beginning.
Yes.
And First and last mile will as well. But it
I'm
was
just
the-
saying it's
Yeah, it's the
different,
affordable
right.
housing one that I consulted with Councilmember Coldiron, and she agreed that it was a different conversation for Monroe
Right.
County than, like you say, the rest of the.
Gotcha.
region.
As if I might, as an area of critical state concern, we're limited on how many more developments we can even do for housing. And I believe we only have 30 workforce housing units left countywide.
Wow.
So for us to have attended the meetings, it would have just been a matter of frustration for anyone in Monroe County.
Gotcha. Okay, well,
Yes.
thank you. And Ms. Garcia
Yeah,
Carballo.
so thank you.
Where is that thing?
So the solid waste meeting is going to be held in person at FAU in Boca Raton on October 21st. And it's expected to go from 10 to 4 o'clock. We're working identifying the keynote speaker, and I'm going to be working staff, and I will work with the solid waste professionals to identify if they have someone that they think would be helpful to bring. Additionally, we have some pretty robust notes from our meeting in July at the Miami TPO. So we're building on that. And again, this is going to now start rolling faster. But we want to at least get the invitation out to save the date and more information to come for the October 21st meeting.
And as you are aware, both Mayor Ross and Commissioner Furr have been leading the effort, Broward County from Mayor Ross from the city level, Commissioner Furr from the county level. And let's see, I think if it's okay, I think we have time and still be done by noon, which is my ironclad. We're out by, I know that I received a copy of the ILA, proposed ILA, which I haven't read yet. Sam, can you give us a, 3 mile view? I mean, normally we talk about a 20,000 foot view. I'd like a 200,000 foot view of what's in the ILA.
Mr. Chair, so I'd be happy to answer, but I must confess to you that the two people in this room who are the most intimately familiar with that document and its day-to-day functionality are Commissioner Furr and Mayor Ross. I will tell you one thing for the record. It is an interlocal agreement that creates essentially an interlocal agreement entity. It is not a special act driven district. It is not a dependent district of the county government. It is an interlocal agreement district between the cities and Broward County to essentially deal with the disposal of waste from now into the future. having come at the heels of the end of the Resource Recovery Board, which was a county city functional organization of sorts that was abolished some number of years ago. There are some property interests involved here. There's a large piece of land that was essentially part and parcel of the cessation of the RRB. It is a critically important document, which has been, I can't even use the word negotiated. It has been discussed, debated, reviewed, evaluated, and analyzed by many people, including every public official. There are 3 groups, 3 tiers. I think Marcel, you're on the tier as well. Big cities, mid-sized cities, small cities, county government, and truly qualified experts who have been working on this document. The SWWG, the Solid Waste Working Group, includes those people that I just mentioned. There's also a technical group that supports it. This document is coming to some level of public review soon in the context of potential approval. It is a critically important document that will set the tone for waste, not waste collection, waste disposal in Broward County for the rest of our lives together in this community and our grandchildren. That's the best. That's a $200,000, 200,000
Foot view.
foot view.
And I wish it was only 2,000. Yeah, I know. Let me ask, okay, Mayor Ross, let me ask you a couple questions, and if you give us a very quick report. Did all of the cities, because that was one of the problems with an ILA, was we worried that all of the cities would not sign off. With the exception of Lazy Lake, have all of the cities signed off?
As far as the ILA, this is something that we sent to them a week ago, literally. And so now it first has to go through all the elected city managers and city attorneys for review. We want the comments back. Then the SWWG will work those comments out and come up with a final draft, which then will be sent to all 31.
Do you?
All 30 cities have been part of the MOU.
Absolutely.
And all 30 have been part of the process of the waste generation study.
And you think that all 30, more likely than not? Okay.
Yes.
And what are the city-county relations under this, obligations?
Relations work-wise, we're doing great work together.
Membership.
No, I mean,
Membership.
how will the governance structure be handled?
It's the governance structure is the ILA itself, and then we're gonna have a master plan to follow.
Okay,
And then there's an executive board consisting of 10 or 11 counties is one vote on that.
Right.
There's a governing board that would meet twice a year that would, if you were doing something really big that had to change, that would be meeting twice a year. Executive board would be meeting every month. There'd be a executive director. There'll be a resilience director. And there's different kind of votes and thresholds for different kind of things. Significant amendments require much higher vote and participation than others. So it's taking into consideration a lot of things. The main thing what it's doing is creating flow control. So that all garbage would be going into our system. It also presupposes assessments by every city to help pay for it. I think the part that you're probably most interested in, I'm just guessing.
I see no desire on the part of the county to set up another, what's the traffic? MPO.
I understand that. There is some discussion right now and having to do with, right now, for us to build, let's say, a waste to energy plant. Right now, the county can do it. And the county could build one. How it pays for it is another.
Without having the flow.
You're talking about, yeah, without having flow, talking about $1 billion proposition.
Right.
So the fact is, there's a need, we need each other on this. Cities need county needs cities on this. There is a part in this, and I'll, that was voted recently. And this is, a note of contention right here. That the county and the cities had to agree if we were going to build something of that magnitude, having to do with just disposal, not recycling. Recycling, it doesn't have to be, it can just be a majority vote or something. But because, as you know, we have the statutory obligation. That's what the county has. Cities don't have that, we have that. So anything to do with the disposal. Until 2 weeks ago, we had to have total agreement. Had to be 80% of the cities had to agree, the county had to agree. The cities were looking at that as a veto. In essence, it kind of was, but for good reason. For good reason. I argued that we have to be in agreement on these things. And if the county doesn't agree on that, then it's not going to go anywhere, because where are you going to do a disposal facility other than on county land? So the county would always have that kind of backup. But that's going to be what I'll be presenting to the county commission on October 11th. And, you know, our attorneys are going to say, this is all looking good, but here's some ports that we need to be concerned about. So that's kind of like that.
Okay.
How's that, Greg?
Fair, very fair. The executive director has suggested it'd be helpful for the understand what problem the ILA is intended to solve, given that Broward County's solid waste management structure is different from either Miami-Dade or Monroe. So can you guys just, what's the problem we're trying to fix?
Right now, it's recycling, but it's also our disposal going all over this state. And the largest emitter of greenhouse gases right now are landfills. We're sending out all of our stuff all over. We're disposing right now of 700,000 tons in a waste energy plant that is recycling, turning into energy, turning into electricity, which we look at in the future as being able to maybe recharge our buses, maybe pelletize biosolids, all this kind of thing. But unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to do that with all of them. We have another 600,000 tons that are having to go to landfill because we don't have another WTE. We did, it got dismantled in 2015.
Because we didn't own it.
Because we didn't know it. So what the thing is, we need to kind of regain control of this, figure out how to not be sending stuff to landfills all over the place. And one of the reasons why we're doing this with our partners to the north in this meeting is they're getting all our landfill stuff. Those counties.
In Okeechobee, which is
It's all over.
part of the
They're getting our biosolids in Palm Beach.
Yeah.
They're getting our trash in Arcadia and Okeechobee and Judd. We're sending it all over.
Ambassadors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it comes to a point where they don't want it anymore.
Right.
So they don't want it. So we have to act quickly and prudently and responsibly.
So in addition to all of these items, we're looking at recycling.
Yes.
And all of these not only are subject here, but these are the topics that will be coming up in October at the joint SFRPC Treasure Coast RPC meeting.
Right, and the reason, real quick, the reason is we've gone from, in the less than 10 years, from 3 million tons of garbage to 4 million tons. We have 785,000 capacity with WTE, which means we need to figure out how to recycle up to 75% of our garbage, which is very ambitious.
Right.
We have a speaker for that.
Okay. All right, at this point in time, let's return to the executive director's report.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, Senator Giller, Chair Giller has covered a lot. First of all, I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your great review. I really appreciate it. And of course, it's a reflection of the great staff that you have. This is how we all work together. So thank you, staff. I also want to thank the counties for having all supported the modest dues increase that you supported. It's modest, but it's groundbreaking. And it's the first time in 28 years that we have anything, and really very grateful for that. So thank you. As Senator Geller mentioned, we had I think a very productive affordable housing meeting with 3 counties on Friday. We will be sending, obviously, thank you for participation, the PowerPoints, and a link to the meeting recording for everyone, including the board, if you would like to take and spend 2 glorious hours listening to the conversation.
It was actually very.
It was good. It was good. I received some nice feedback from that. As Chair Geller mentioned also, the South Florida Military Installation Review Project is going very well. We've been working with a consultant team. At this point, we've had 4 site visits with the South Florida Ocean Management Facility, a naval facility in Dania Beach, U.S. Army Garrison Southcom in Doral, HARB, Homestead Air Reserve Base in Miami-Dade, and Naval Air Station Key West, which unfortunately I was not able to go to because of the sets. So it's fine. But anyway, we had great meetings there, and it's interesting, there are some common threads that have come out, and affordable housing is top on the list of one of the challenges facing the installations, along with flooding, redundancy in water supply, electricity, and those types of issues. Coming up, and I believe you may have already received an invitation, it was widely emailed out by Jacobs, secretary in charge of sending it out. On September 29th, there's going to be at 10 o'clock a webinar that's going to provide all the stakeholders with a current update of what's been happening with the installation resilience review. Again, I just want to make sure the period of the grant for the MIRR was extended because we had to, remember, undergo a lengthy RFP proposal and selection process. So that is why there are money shifting from this year budget to next year, because it has been shifted. So that's going that way. I have received a request from Senator Garcia's office to arrange for a tour in the Palm Beach County Solid Waste Management Facility. Apparently it's amazing. It's literally a 3-hour tour. Reminds me of that show. 3-hour tour. But that's what the director says is necessary. So we will poll you to identify your interest in attending this tour and then set that up. So I don't want Senator Garcia to think that I forgot him. I have not. Additionally, I was really delighted to see the Coastal Link moving forward with the leadership of Broward County. And this is actually building off a conversation I had with CEO in Miami-Dade, Jimmy Morales, back in June at their SMART big TPO event, which was the day the storm was coming in. But anyway, at that point, he had pulled me aside. He said that he was very interested in seeing how Miami-Dade could assist and move the conversation forward, and the commissioner ran with that.
That was instrumental.
Yeah, so thank you very much. I'm so happy that worked out. I'm pleased to let you know, and I will refer you to our highlights, that the council has received a NATO award for the Southeast Florida Clean Cities Coalition. That's a National Association of Development Organizations, and it's one of the big national organizations that we're involved with. And you'll see details. There's an electric vehicle fund day coming up. And as well, we have another award that I want to mention, which is for our revolving loan fund program at the MedWeek conference that's coming up now in October. And that MedWeek is part of the U.S. Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency's work. And we are being recognized there for our outstanding revolving loan fund program run by Jeff, along with the assistance of Alicia and Steve Foreman in the office. I think I have hit the highlights of what I had on my notes. And again, Senator Geller did a great job going over lots of the things. I will say the SEDS report, we're working on it right now. We are going to have a SEDS meeting next Tuesday, and then we'll open it with a public comment period on October 1st and turn it in October 31st. So I think we're in good shape. Everybody's been working very hard.
Isabel, let me ask a question on the sets.
Mhm.
Would there be another meeting? Because the meeting next Tuesday, and by the way, I should have realized that second day Rosh Hashanah, I happen not to observe second day. I'll be in temple all morning on the first day Rosh Hashanah. But there is a split among different Jewish communities as to whether we celebrate second day. Sam, do you think is it okay to have a meeting on second day Rosh Hashanah? Or is that, I should have thought, I had first day
I thought
marked
first
off
day,
on my
yes, I didn't
calendar.
realize the second day
Yeah,
challenge
there
for
we,
some.
there, it may be.
I'll give my non-religious answer, which is it's not a state holiday.
Yeah, but either is Rosh Hashanah and we would have a meeting.
Correct. But the second day is perhaps less egregious than the first day in the context of public attendance. Or making it available.
Okay,
Well, and we're always available for comment. The idea is to get the draft that you're gonna see is gonna need formatting, beautification. That's not my strength area, except for the picture of the arc that I'm gonna put in under the central project.
the reason for the arc is to make me happy because I keep, I spoke to David Cooper, City, you were there, and what was my stock investing advice? Buy companies that build arcs. Because
So-
we will be underwater.
So I think that's it. And again, thank
Will
you so
there
much for
be
your support.
another SEDS meeting
And the
after?
council. Well, we
No.
can arrange another one for the committee if you like.
Yeah,
That's
I
great.
was going to say, if we're going to invite
Sure.
changes on the next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow,
Mhm.
we may want
That sounds a
to
great idea. We'll add it.
have another meeting 2 weeks after that for final approval of the
That
document.
sounds great.
And I would also, if anybody would like to see the SEDS, I think Commissioner Furr had some suggested input on education. If anybody, anybody wants some light bathroom reading. It's, yeah.
It's gonna look smaller when it's properly formatted, okay?
Yeah.
Words will become charts.
Right, if anybody would like to get a copy of the draft, we will of course send you a copy of the final report.
Right.
If anybody wants to go through this, mammoth document and
It reads well, though.
it reads well and make any comments, please
No, no,
contact the
we'll
executive.
we'll have you all. look
Yeah,
at
please
it and provide
contact the
comments.
executive director. Okay. So again, there will be 2 sets of comments, one before next Tuesday
Mhm.
that we will discuss next Tuesday, and one will be after next Tuesday when we send out a proposed final draft.
For public posting.
For public posting.
Yeah.
Before that's adopted, there will be chances for minor changes. But I don't think we'll be able to do any major revisions after the semifinal meeting next
Well,
Tuesday.
hopefully it'll be complete enough that it won't require that. Right?
Yeah, but there may be some,
Yeah.
okay, so questions? Yes,
Thank you, Chair Gelliver. I just have a comment and want to acknowledge and thank Isabel and her staff. They participated in an economic development committee with the Key West Chamber, which is forming this new economic development and committee. And Isabel and her staff did an excellent job in reviewing and helping the Key West Chamber with their endeavors. So thank you so much.
I'm still open to that offer to help involve the chambers at the time you think it's appropriate. That will help in
Thank
the
you.
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
are there any
You're welcome.
additional questions for Ms. Cosio Carvalho on her executive director report? Nope, okay. Legal counsel,
I have one question.
yes.
I think you had mentioned, relative to the briefing about Broward County and the cities in Broward and the ILA.
Yes.
The distinction in Monroe and in Miami-Dade. Could someone comment just briefly on what's going on in Monroe and Miami-Dade?
Commissioner Coldiron, can you comment on anything on the state of solid waste in Monroe?
I believe, if I could, I believe that the difference is the way it's structured. In Miami-Dade County, Miami-Dade solid waste is really sort of the king of waste management, right? But in
So it's
Broward, it seems
essentially-
that, in Broward, it seems more dispersed.
Yeah, the difference is Broward is 98 point something percent annexed. There's only between 1 and 2,
There's a lot of
like 1.5%
unincorporated in
unincorporated. Dade is still large areas that are unincorporated. And that's
Big difference.
the difference.
And like Miami-Dade may probably wants to jump in here, but they have essentially consent through all the cities. Miami-Dade runs the entire operations. they, through their departments, their
Right.
WT and through consent, not by contract, but by through consent, all the stuff goes to those places. All the garbage goes to them. Because they own it. That's a big difference.
I think there's a structural
Right,
difference in
well,
who's in
the
control.
fact that the county owns it allows for consensual flow control. We don't own ours. That's a big difference. Palm Beach does own theirs, and consequently, they're able to do, they're able to kind of put another hat on. And so all their stuff goes to their, as well. Howard didn't own ours.
That makes a big difference, right?
Big difference.
And the governance on the, in Palm Beach.
Correct. Independent district.
Right.
And then that road.
Okay, legal counsel report.
Just briefly, I don't typically highlight an issue, but if you would take a look at the report we issued this past month regarding the Dawson case, which is a matter that.
And the RLF one's coming up, right?
Yes, which we'll discuss in more detail, but just pay attention if you can, at my suggestion that the report and the document that we typically issue on a monthly basis. It's a very, you've heard about this case before. It is somewhat complicated in the context of machinations of, I don't use that word in a pejorative way, just a factual way, regarding where the case stands. There is a case.
Machinations is pejorative.
Yes, well, I didn't mean to make it pejorative, but it was the intention is that there's a case management conference coming up in December with judges, Judge Bidwell. We're on the fourth amended counterclaim in this case already. The matter was offered for settlement, an appropriate takeout opportunity, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Tard, and was rejected by the plaintiff. You'll note that on the report, there's only one case. I believe that all other cases have either been resolved or are currently being handled in a different way, so to speak. It's a little more contentious. It's been going on for quite some time. And I would refer to Mr. Tart later to the extent of this report, but I think that's a more critical issue that's pending in litigation. It's taken quite a lot of time and effort for all of us to engage in this discussion.
I was surprised that when the counsel for opposing party failed to attend the last calendar call, that the judge did not strike her pleadings.
Did not give her more time.
Okay.
Can I, yes, I'm sorry, but I know I've been on this one from the beginning and I still say it's time we contact the Florida Bar, notify the bar of their non-attendance, of their non-payment, of the fact that they borrowed the money. I've got to be honest with you, I can only say with false intentions of paying back and let the bar become involved. I think it will assist us in
I think, Mayor Ross, that the issue is that the proposed counterclaim, while difficult to prove, has difficulties for the SFRPC. The issue is we flat out deny what she says, but just because we deny it, we're trying to resolve it if it can be resolved one way or the other.
We're paying close attention and to the extent, again, if I can, Mr. Chair, Senator, just quickly, individuals file bar complaints. Organizations are not typically the filer of a bar complaint. The challenge here is that this case has a long history. We hope that it could be resolved given the nature of where it is today through the case management conference, which is coming up in October the 10th, before the same judge, Judge Bidwell, with a motion to dismiss, which hopefully, given the tenor and nature of where we were and where we got to before this judge, hopefully will be granted on December the 2nd.
Okay, thank you. Council members report. Any council members have anything to say? Yes. Mayor Diatti.
On August 8th, our city had a small business fair, and so I want to thank Alicia and Steve for coming out and representing. And I just want to state that if anybody has any type of chamber event or a business affair or anything like that, to call on the organization because they're just incredible. They have all the information. They'll talk to all of the businesses. And so that's something that I guess that I didn't think about until, it came up and I was like, holy cow, let's do it. And so there may be other cities or other counties that may not think about that. And We had our Florida League of Cities annual conference here in Hollywood. And I want to say, much to my surprise, when I was going down the aisles, there was a picture of me on a big cardboard, but not just me, but other members of the organization. So I was pleasantly surprised.
Thank you, Mayor Ziotti. And if I can say, and this is not officially the position of the SFRPC, but good luck on your reelection.
Thank you so much.
I have found you
appreciate
to be
that.
a wonderful officer, council member, and hope that you can continue to serve.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Okay, ex officio report. That, when are you there? Anything to report?
There's that.
Yes, good morning, Chair and council member. Just want to briefly report on the City Park DRI. So the department had coordinated with the Turnpike and provided comments regarding the traffic and conditions. So as you know, the main concern we have is that, they're modeling the traffic, they're using the model only for the traffic analysis. So rather than the actual count, so projected traffic count.
Okay,
And we're going to continue just review on traffic on that.
any questions? Thank you, Deb. Lorraine, South Florida Water Management District.
No
Any report?
reports. No
Thank you,
report.
ma'am. Jason, DEP.
There he is.
Good morning. Yeah, just an update. The DEP's Marathon Branch Office, which has historically reported to the Fort Myers South District Office, effective September 1st, now reports to my office, the West Palm Beach Southeast District Office. So we have a group of about 10 employees down there. And just for a number of reasons, it made sense for that office to report to West Palm, one of which is that Monroe County is within the South Florida Regional Planning Council. So we're excited for the opportunity to take over that office. The only other thing, there were some questions about septic tank enforcement, and Isabel, we can chat offline about that. But just as a reminder, July 1st of last year, while the septic tank program did move to DEP, it's a 5-year transition. And within the first year or so, we've been working on rulemaking and some other training. This January, the next annual report is going to come out, and it's going to spell out how that transition is going to look. But for now, all the permitting and enforcement of septic tanks are handled by the county health department. So Isabel, I can get with you on what some of those enforcement numbers look like. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Jason, do you know Dr. Jennifer Gerardo?
I do.
Okay. These questions came out of the Broward County Water Advisory Board, which I also chair. And so if you can contact Dr. Gerardo and clarify that, I would appreciate that.
Will do.
Okay, Commissioner Furr, you recognize her.
Yes, I just wonder if there's been any breakthrough with DEP and FWC with regard to the coral reef conservation area. They were going to be trying to figure out a management plan. This is 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I know it's been kind of, do you know what I'm talking about on this? No.
Okay, and if you have a puzzled look on your face, Ms. Costa Carballo can answer.
So I asked the same question. So I will find a copy of the letter that we received from DEP for Wildlife Conservation Commission, where they provided a lot of information of their activities and then basically called that their conservation plan.
Yeah, it's not a plan.
Well, you're the policymaker. I will get that letter for you and resend it, but that is the last, and I don't want to mischaracterize it, but my last understanding was that from their perspective, what they're doing is the plan. So.
Right, and we were trying to let them kind of figure this out amongst them,
Yes, yes,
hoping they might get somewhere.
yes. No, and they did provide a lot of good information, but I will definitely get that to you. And that's why I have a 4.
Okay, we have about 13 minutes left in today's meeting. At this point in time, I'd like to call on Jeff Tart, or in Roman numeral 6, for both A and B, the SFRPC revolving loan and the CARES Act revolving loan. Status reports.
Good morning, council members. Jeff Tarkias, Senior Loan Officer, Manager of the revolving loan funds. A few quick announcements. First, the RLF board meeting is going to be convening tomorrow. We're seeking the board approval, of 2 new business loans totaling $500,000. First, a minority-owned payroll provider that focuses on the Haitian and Latino communities. And second, a nonprofit housing organization that provides services to low and moderate income families. In regards to our CARES Act revolving loan fund to date, we provided $6.3 million to 31 businesses. That's to help with the tools and resources necessary to deal with COVID and the recovery. I'm also proud to announce the SFRPC has been recognized by the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration, as Isabel mentioned, as a success story. That's due to our council's great work with the CARES Act revolving loan fund. And we're going to continue to assist new borrowers in the future as the loans are repaid. We can continue to lend them out. In regards to the traditional RLF, the program continues to perform well. We have $5.4 million in assets serving 25 borrowers. Goran Charp, our legal counsel, is doing a fantastic job with the loan closing still. And they continue to provide updates, as we just heard, on our one historical borrower in litigation. A lot of details can be found in the RLF status report. I just want to mention, we continue to make numerous attempts to settle with Ms. Dawson. And unfortunately, she's just unwilling to listen and really come to any agreement. I just also want to address, we did contact the Florida bar, and unfortunately, we were told they're unable to interject at this time because of ongoing litigation. So they're always a preliminary involvement. Once litigation starts, they said they had to tie, but we did reach out. And lastly, I just want to share with you in regards to the Affordable Housing Initiative Program that's provided by a Southeast Florida Community Development Fund. We're actually starting our due diligence on financing a new 10-unit affordable townhomes in Pompano. But I just want to say that's really due to the support by the Broward County Commission, because those dollars will be used to help construct that in Pompano.
On behalf of the Broward County Commission. Did you say initially that there were 2 loans that you were going to be asking today for approval or at a future date for approval?
No, tomorrow for the 2 new loans for the revolving loan fund will be at tomorrow's board meeting.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Tart on either the SFRPC revolving loan funds or the CARES Act revolving loan funds? If not, thank you, Mr. Tart.
I have numbers.
C, development of regional impacts. I think that's none.
No, well, it should actually
That's none.
have none anymore, but
Okay.
as Jack mentioned, we are involved in a city park DRI. It's in South Miami-Dade. And currently outside the urban development boundaries, about 968 acres, I believe. Our principal planner, Christina Miskus, is doing a great job working with Bob Cambrick, who you will recall, and also Sam's office, Sam in particular, on moving for the DRI process. We did have a meeting here with agencies and applicants to just go over different questions as part of the DRI. And just last week, there was a follow-up report sent to the applicant asking for clarification on some of the questions. So that's been taking up, a significant amount of time. I don't know if Christina wants to add anything. But it's moving along, and I believe next week we hope to have agency response. So if you're an agency and received a request for information, please respond as quickly as possible, because we need to go ahead and get that all sorted out so we can continue the process moving forward. And again, I want to recognize Christina for her great work and also the support, because everybody helps everybody here.
Thank you. Mr. Gorin, 2 quick questions. First of all, will the SFRPC eventually be voting as a council on
Answer
this?
is legally yes.
Okay, second,
It'll come to the council for review.
okay, secondly, is this within or outside the urban development boundary?
Currently, it's outside of the urban development boundary, but last week at a Miami-Dade County Commission, I think policy board type of meeting, wasn't the full commission, it was some of the committee board. They directed their Department of RER, Regulatory Environmental Resources, to undertake a look at that area for possible, I don't know, Kimberly could explain it better. Kimberly Brown, she's on from Miami-Dade.
For possible inclusion in the urban expansion area.
Yeah,
Okay,
so they're looking at perhaps bringing it in. Thank you for saying.
thank you. And finally, as I recall, the authority of the SFRPC is we can make a recommendation for approval, recommendation for non-approval, or recommend that it be sent back for additional. But whatever we do, we're now only advisory in nature as opposed to the power that we used to have, correct?
Chuck, that is correct. However, for the record, this is the last DRI.
We're gonna get buttons made.
Yeah. This is grandfathered in from, basically 15 years ago. There was a place mark for it that was given. It's legally in place. It's currently being reviewed not under current standards, by the way, but under the older rules. However, the staff of the Regional Planning Council through the pre-app conference that was conducted here, I believe we're looking towards employing the newer rules as and where possible, particularly on transportation and other matters that I'm not privy to, but I know it's been under discussion.
Under the old rules, do we have more than just advisory, or we're still just advisory?
My understanding is that we'll be voting on sufficiency, whether or not the applicant sufficiently answered the question, to identify mitigation measures necessary.
Correct.
To mitigate for transportation and all the other issues we're reviewing for. We're reviewing under the 2015 rules, but we're also taking into account current issues, so resiliency and most current traffic methodology.
When we get that, we'll spend a lot more time on it. I want to move on in the interest of time. Okay, council highlights. I think we've gone over them extensively. Again, good job that we have real council highlights to be reporting on. And is there anything else you want to say about the SEDS?
No, I just want to thank Geraldo Golub, council staff, who's been working on this site for several months, and then I'm happy that we'll review it and we'll see what comment or respond to them.
We are still finalizing our process. Was supposed to be sent in by the end of September. We got an extension till the end of October. So I got, this was sent last night, although I think it's too many megabytes for my home computer. Because I didn't get it. Although my office did. So we will be reviewing this a week from today. A week from today, a week from tomorrow, there will be a meeting of the SEDS committee where we will be reviewing this. I think we will be sending this to them probably tomorrow with the
draft.
Yeah, saying, please review and get back with us. Again, if any council member wants a copy of that and wants to have comments made before the meeting a week from Tuesday,
Just send it to everybody.
please, okay. Please get us any comments by Thursday, because we would like to send out all of the comments by Friday if we're going to adopt it on Tuesday. Particularly if there's people like me that won't be looking at our computer on Monday. Right, so, all right, we're now, is there anything else on the SEDS?
No, sir.
Good. Now, attendance form has been attached. I hope everybody's reviewed theirs. If there are any mistakes, please notify staff on the attendance form. Correspondence and articles, I think we covered.
There's a few articles in the package, including the press release from the USCBA, some additional, back to the working class families, the middle class, now the working middle class is at risk of homelessness now. We have the price
Yes.
increases that's reflected also in the set now. And that's it. There's obviously a lot, and also the postal link.
Yes.
It's just a few articles.
Okay. Thank you. Upcoming meetings, these are, okay. First one is we're planning on meeting twice the week of October 17th. And I think we said we were going to start that meeting earlier.
We get started.
Right, okay, 9:30. On October 17th, we're going to have another retreat. So there will be no business on the agenda. It will just be a planning meeting. Yeah, as I said, I'm very pleased that we've actually been doing regional planning items now, and I'd like to see us be doing more of those. And I think that we just need to, it's been several years since we met in Hollywood last, when we had a retreat. When was that? Greg, were you president then?
I think I made it.
I think, okay. So,
So are you saying that the meeting on the 17th is a planning?
yes, meeting on the 17th will be a retreat. It will start at 9:30 because, I'd like us for a retreat to have up to 2.5 hours, maybe 2 hours. I'm hoping we'll be out by 11:30, but if we start at 9:30, that'll give us 2.5 hours max. And we'll get you more information on that.
We'll send an update to the staff.
Right. As to what we'll be doing. Then that Friday, October 21st, will be the big garbage meeting.
Oh. Yeah.
Our big solid waste, which is again scheduled for 6 hours. We will be starting at 10 a.m. We're scheduled to finish at 4. We will have a working lunch because we're worried that if we let people go out to lunch, they won't be coming back.
On a Friday.
Right, so it will be a working lunch there.
That'll be at FAU, correct?
That will be at FAU, and you
virtual
should be
option.
receiving an invitation today. The only virtual option will be you can, I think we will try and tape the meeting so that people will be able to view it later, or maybe Vimeo or something like that, but there will not be any live link where you can participate virtually. And then in November, we'll have a meeting November 21st on a Monday. Is that Thanksgiving week?
I think so.
Okay,
It's
then.
like a placeholder, so we can,
Right.
because before it's Veterans Day, remember?
Yeah, we can work around that. We're currently not planning on meeting in December. And January, we may or may not have a meeting. As I said, when we were originally discussing the planning issues, we had discussed, one of the original topics was first and last mile for mass transit. We decided that would just be an SFRPC, so that we would have our own SFRPC regional meeting, as well as the joint SFRPC TCRPC meeting. So that one will be scheduled for January. That was originally scheduled for October, November. But as I said, we've been carrying the bulk of the work for the solid waste as well. And between that and SEDS and military, we have stretched staff to its limits. So that completes. Are there any other announcements before we adjourn? Any other announcements? Not, it is 12 o'clock and we are adjourned.
Nice job.
I get meetings over on time.